You're watching Public Affairs. Berkowitz is my name, and politics is our game. And we will be doing politics this evening because we have as our guest Dorothy Brown, who, of course, is the clerk of the Circuit Court of Cook County. She is running for Cook County Board President in the Democratic primary that's coming up in February 2, 2010. We're taping this show on July 19th, 2009, and you'll be seeing it soon in the suburbs next week, in Chicago and Aurora and Rockford the week after. And that race is, look, it's going to be an interesting race. Almost surely President Todd Stroger will be running for re-election. Alderman Toni Preckwinkle, who's been on our show and our guest, our regular viewers would know it, she has announced she's running. Clerk of the Court, Clerk of the Circuit Court of Cook County, Dorothy Brown is running. It's thought that maybe Congressman Danny Davis may run. It's thought that Commissioner of the Board of Review, Larry Rogers, may get in. And I don't know how racial will be. We'll touch on that issue of race, which is a somewhat touchy subject, but that would be 5 African-American candidates right there. And Larry Suffredin, on the Cook County Board, apparently is thinking of running. And Sheriff Tom Dart, thinking of running. Water Reclamation District Commission, the president of the Water Reclamation District, Terry O'Brien, apparently his name is being thrown around. And so come back to more of an introduction and more of a background of our guest. But right there, that's 8 candidates, 5 African Americans, 3 whites. If that happens, is race an issue in the February 2010, is race an issue ultimately in the general election, or is race an issue just in the primary of February 2010 as you've got 5 African Americans running for the Democratic nomination and 3 Republicans? I should say you could. At the moment, well, let me backtrack, folks, probably confuse you. You've got 8 candidates in the Democratic primary, possibly 5 African Americans, 3 white candidates. That's the Democratic primary. We'll get to the general election in a minute, or the Republican primary. But Clerk Dorothy Brown, if that happens, would race be an issue?
I don't feel race would be an issue. I think that because Cook County is in a crisis now, and people are concerned about what's going on with these taxes being too high, I think that Barack Obama has proven to us that people will vote across color lines for individuals that they feel can make a change. I believe that the citizens of Cook County are looking for a county board president that has a proven track record for reform, a proven track record for saving taxpayers' money, and a proven record for bringing new ideas, creative solutions for raising revenue, the kind of things that I have done as the clerk of the circuit court.
Well, you've been running, your budget's about $100 million, right?
Yes.
Cook County Board at $3 billion, so that's 30 times that, right?
Yes.
2,100 employees in the circuit court.
Yes.
Clerk's office. There's about, I understand, 24,500 or so employed by the Cook County government, so that's 10 times as much.
Yes.
Are you up to the job?
We are definitely up to the job. We're the only person that's looking at the race that, first of all, has won a countywide race 3 times by an overwhelming margin, and has run successfully a countywide office. We operate in the black over and over again in our office. I have raised over $187.5 million new revenue for Cook County by rolling up my sleeves, going to Springfield, getting laws
What do you mean you
changed.
raised? Where'd you get that money?
Well, we were able to go
Did you
to
raise taxes?
Springfield.
You
No,
can't
we
really
did
raise
not,
taxes.
without taxes, no.
Well, let me just
We
ask
have
you right, let's stop right
creative
there.
ways
Would you
of new
take a
revenue.
pledge not to increase the sales tax if you were Cook County Board President over the next 4 years?
I have taken that pledge. I have taken the pledge that I am against the current sales tax level.
The penny
that
increase.
I will find, yes, that I will
But did you
find.
speak out against it when it became an issue? There are people who say you only spoke out against it when you announced about a month ago, but they didn't hear from you when it was a big issue over the last year. Is that right?
What I've said was that I did not have a vote in that matter at the time. But now that I'm running for Cook County Board President, I have to have a voice in it because people need to know where I stand. And I have said over and over again that I am against the current sales tax level.
Would you repeal the full one?
Fine.
Would you repeal the full penny increase?
I will repeal it while I find creative revenues to replace it,
No,
because I know we need to
the
have.
question is, would you do it if you could? If you became Cook County Board President, would you do it immediately, or would you phase it out, or what would you do?
Well, I'll look at it strategically, and I will repeal it as we find the revenue to replace it.
Okay.
I think it's important for the taxpayers of Cook County that we are able to
Where are you going to find
provide them
$500 million to replace it, or $400 million? That's what it generates.
with-
Where are you going to find $400 million?
I'm going to do the same thing that I've done in the clerk's office. We're going to roll up our sleeves, and we're going to find creative ways to raise revenue. I have already started the research to find new revenue. Yes.
But you don't want to give us any ideas. Is that like a
Well,
secret plan?
yeah.
Richard Nixon had a secret plan to end the war.
Oh.
They never found out his secret plan.
Richard-
Zorn said he had a secret plan to end the war in Iraq. Remember, Eric, he came on here and we never got it. He said he left it in the car.
Jeff, you have to remember now that I'm a certified public accountant and I have a master's degree in business administration finance. So I understand budgets and I know how to look at budgets and find waste in it, first of all, because we want to do both. We want to find the waste, cut the waste out of the budget, and we want to raise revenue. There are a lot of ways to raise revenue for Cook County that hasn't even been considered by the current county board.
But you can't tell us what they are as you sit here today.
Well, obviously, my opponents would be able to take my ideas at this point, but
It's proprietary,
we do-
so it's going to be a secret? Are you ever going to tell
I
us?
will be able to roll them out as I roll my position papers out. I will roll my creative ways of raising revenue. And so just like we've done in the clerk's office, we raised that $187.5 million. And we're going to collect revenue also that's probably still due the county that has not been collected.
Well, okay, but just give people an idea. You know, that you heard of the Gang of Four? You heard of the Gang of Four? And the Cook County Board, do you know who those were?
The Gang of Four.
You know about the Gang of Four?
The Gang of Four?
Yeah,
No.
I gave them that name because it was
you
Tony
did?
Rapica,
Oh.
Tony Pareca, the Republican, Forrest Claypool, Democrat, Mike Quigley, Democrat. He's now replaced by Bridget Gaertner. He's now in Congress, of course. Larry Suffredin, Democrat. So you had those three Democrats, Claypool, Quigley, Suffredin, teaming up with a Republican. And you know, they pushed back on John Stroger when he wanted to increase taxes. And they prevented that. You're familiar with that?
Well,
Did I get that scenario right? Am I describing it right?
You did get that scenario right, but let me just say this, Jeff. The time is now for a county board president that can work with people. The problem has been and was during that time is that people were operating in a vacuum, not really being inclusive. I'm going to have a transparent county government, and I'm going to work with the county commissioners, let them help me come up with the ideas for governing Cook County. That's the problem. We need a county board president that can work with people, that can stop
You're saying Todd Stroger can't do that?
That can stop infighting, and that can stop this politics as usual.
You're saying Todd Stroger can't do that?
That is not happening right now.
Okay.
That is not happening
Well,
right now.
in fact, there were 12 votes. There were 12 votes to repeal the 1 cent increase in the sales tax. 12 out of 17. Todd vetoed that, and they didn't have the votes to override. Because as you know, you need to get 14 out of 17, and they only had 12 or 13.
Right.
So, does that tell you something? Is the board consensus? It's not just that he can't work with people. Does that vote to you tell you that the board consensus is against the views of Todd Stroger on taxes?
Yes, that is telling me that. Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
Have you told him that? I mean, just as a constituent, you know, you live in Cook County, you're a colleague. Have you talked with him and said, you know, I think it was John Daly who said, the mayor's brother, and you've got, you know, a relationship with the mayor, we can talk about that. But John Daly, the mayor's brother, said when all this was going on that Todd should be listening to people, and he wasn't. Do you think
Right.
that's a legitimate criticism?
I think that's a legitimate criticism. He should be listening to people, listening to the people, listening to the commissioners, because the commissioners are elected by the people. And so what I'm going to do as county board president is to get our financial house in order, work with the commissioners, listen to the citizens, because I'm going to create a Citizens Budget Review Commission, something that I recommended to the county board in 2005, that we have a Citizen Budget Review Commission, because citizens trust citizens. And if you can open up that budget to a budget review commission of citizens who can go in, look to see if there's waste, determine exactly what the needs are of the county to let the citizens know. I believe that.
Do you think there's waste at Cook County government that they now have revenue of about $3.4 billion? Do you think there's waste, or do you need a commission to tell you that?
I believe there's waste, but as I said, Citizens trust citizens. And so it will be a confirmation it would be a confirmation or a verification so that citizens would then be able to know that the commissioners are indeed being truthful.
The Health Bureau, how much of the budget, the Cook County budget, is now accounted for by the Health Bureau?
It's a significant amount of
What would you say, ballpark?
About
$1 billion, right. So that's a third of the budget, right?
Absolutely. And the Health Bureau is in significant need of help. The Health Bureau is now...
Tell the voters, what's the Health Bureau?
Well, it's the system, the health system, if you will,
what hospitals
that takes
are
care
there?
of the Providence Hospital, Cook County Hospital, and all the various clinics throughout the county. And so,
Cook County Hospital is now known as Stroger Hospital, right?
And John X. Stroger Hospital, yes. Right. And so, of course, people still think of it as Cook County Hospital.
Some do.
Exactly.
Change comes slowly, even in Cook County.
Exactly.
But change is on its way.
Change is on its way because
Barack
Dorothy
Obama
Brown
said
is on
so,
its way.
and Dorothy Brown said
That's
so.
right, the real change.
Is that your
Dorothy
son?
Brown.
You stealing that? Do you have to get a license from Barack Obama to use that phrase?
Well, I'm talking about reform and change, and real change for Cook County, finally. But the John H. Stroger Hospital is actually under the auspices of a new board, along with the entire health system.
Board.
Yes, an independent board. However, that board has a fiscal responsibility to the county board. Still has to get its budget approved by the county board. So with that input, I would be able to actually have some say. I would like to have some input as to what's going on in county, in the health system as well.
Would you keep it independent? It's supposed to sunset. The law that provided for an independent board to run, or at least have management oversight of the Health Bureau, which is, as we said, Stroger Hospital, Providence Hospital, Oak Park Hospital, and is it 30 clinics now, or have they been cut down?
I think
they were 30 clinics. How many are they now?
Yeah, I'm not familiar with exactly how many, because I know that there were 30, and
but
there were probably about.
That independent board that has oversight over it.
We were looking at reducing some.
And it's supposed to sunset in 2011.
Yes. And I think
that's
a good idea. I think the independent board is a good idea.
No, but would you favor renewing it in 2011, or would you take it back? That is, looked for the board to say, okay, you did your job, and now we'll go back to what it was before.
I would favor keeping that board, because I think that it's a large segment of the government that really needs to have those professionals in charge. But I would want to have some input as county board president into how they're operating.
Did they not have that board when one of the things when they came in, they realized they weren't getting financial reports on a regular basis? They had a call for that. The Cook County government was not somehow generating regular financial reports. Are you aware of that?
I think that's one of the things.
Is that true?
But
did I get that right?
You did get that right. But the other thing that was
is that a major problem?
Is proper billing.
Is proper billing.
Proper billing.
As a result of that, they weren't sending out bills, right?
The proper billing. Actually monitoring the people that are actually being serviced by Cook County, making sure that they are people that are actually eligible for that service.
Is it working? You know, Forrest Claypool, when he ran, he talked about waiting lines for mammograms, for procedures, for operations, for prescriptions. Is it now working?
Well, there are a lot of things that still need to be.
Still have a problem.
Still have a problem.
Because Todd Stroger, President Stroger, said when he goes in there and he samples it, that place is working, people know what's going on. He's comfortable with the way it's working. He says, you know, they service a lot of people, so you're always going to have some complaints. But in his view, it's working.
Well,
Do you agree?
I think that there's still there's always room for improvement.
Well, is it just that? Has it gotten better, or is
place.
it like, are there major problems
Well,
with the Health Bureau?
I've been over there, and I've been into the emergency room, and it appears, but you still have a lot of people waiting. I really want to, like I said, provide some input from a standpoint of being a certified public accountant with a background in operation efficiency. I want to be able to provide some input to that board.
And that is your background. Your background is in the law. You haven't practiced law privately, but you have a law degree from Chicago Kent with honors,
correct.
right?
That's correct.
You have a business degree from DePaul, right?
Master in Business Administration from DePaul University.
Undergraduate degree, Southern University.
Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Yes.
Honors.
With honors.
Okay, so
and,
you've got
certified public accountant since 1977.
So you have the legal background, you have the accounting background.
Yes.
Do you have the ability to put this all together, the kind of management background?
I do. Of course, I was a senior manager for the accounting firm that I helped to start back in 1984. Worked as a supervisor in the Big 8 accounting firm for a couple of years, and with First National Bank of Chicago. But the main management experience that I've received is, first of all, as a general auditor, running the audit department for Chicago Transit Authority, reporting to the board of directors, and for the last 9 years as the clerk of the court, running the second largest court system in the world.
Now, you started with humble background.
Yes.
Low-income parents, working class parents.
Yes.
They worked hard. You
Yes.
worked hard.
And
You worked in the private sector some?
yes, I did.
Did you ever build up some net worth?
Some network.
Yeah.
No,
What's your net worth
No,
now?
I was in. I had very.
What's your net worth now?
My net worth is probably maybe about 200. I would say now that my house is
$200,000?
not worth- Yeah, now that my house is reduced.
Where
in
you
value, of
are you going to
course.
release your tax returns from last year?
My tax returns.
You release them every year? Have you done it?
No, I don't
Don't you
release
think-
them every year.
You don't think people should do that? You've been an elected official now for 8 years, going on 9 years, but you've never released your tax returns. You don't think you should do that?
Well, that's never been a requirement of any
I'm asking you right
elected official.
now. Would you tomorrow release your tax returns?
Well, that's never been a requirement.
It's not a
Jeff.
requirement,
You
but I'm
know,
just saying people, if you want to be ethical, you don't just look at the law. You learned this in law school, right? You looked at ethics. There's a difference between law and ethics, right? Law would be the minimum. Ethics have higher requirements, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Do you think you're ethically required to be transparent personally and release all your financial records, including your tax returns?
Well, you know, I have a high record of ethics and honesty in my office. I have taken out no bid contracts in that office. I have never accepted a pay increase while I've been in that office. We have made sure that we send out to all of the employees the importance of no politicking in office. So I have a
You've been
high
criticized.
ethical
You've
value.
been criticized for accepting cash from employees.
Well,
Right?
Gifts.
Public.
Employees
You've seen that
actually
criticism.
gave me gifts, and I have said, Jeff, that I would no longer permit them to give me gifts.
But until that was raised, you didn't see a problem with that. Until that was
No,
raised publicly.
No, that's not true.
When did you decide
That
it was
is
a
not
problem?
true. I had made the decision to no longer accept gifts.
When
it
did you
was
make that
raised.
decision?
It was back last year.
Last year,
Yes,
but for 8
yes,
years you saw no
yes.
problem.
No. They did not give me gifts for 8 years.
How long were you
know,
getting cash
I think
gifts?
it was-
How long were you getting cash gifts?
Well, they were giving me gifts. They were not necessarily cash gifts. There were some people.
Okay, so you
that
won't
did
accept
give
any
me
gifts
stuff,
now
gifts.
from employees? Is that what you're saying?
I have said that, yes.
Cash or otherwise?
I've said that, Jeff.
But you won't
I made
you
that
won't
clear.
pledge to release your tax returns.
Well, my tax return is something that certainly is a personal thing, and as we are responsible for issuing tax return,
Personal, but people want to see if there's
let me
something
just-
something going on
Let
there.
me
You
just
know, you
say
understand
that.
that?
Let me just
You know
say
what I mean
this,
by
Jeff.
going on?
Let me just say this, Jeff. If there was something going on, certainly Internal Revenue would investigate.
No,
But
no.
let me
Again,
just say,
something going on in
let-
terms of contributions, in terms of
Oh.
conflicts. Do you have conflicts with any businesses with Cook County deals with? It's just your tax returns, your assets. You understand that?
Let me explain this to you, Jeff.
You know, there's a guy.
actually
Excuse me. There's a guy running for
adhere to-
governor in the Republican primary, Adam Andrzejewski, who's taken the lead and he's released his tax returns. Others said that we'll do it and so forth, but he did it. He didn't wait.
Well, let me just explain this to you,
So,
Jeff.
Dorothy Brown, do
The
you want to take
ethics-
the lead and do it?
The ethics statement that I
Okay.
provide,
Okay.
I provide all of any potential conflicts, and you can certainly get that from Cook County.
But you don't want to
every
release
day.
your tax returns.
My tax return my ethics statement has all of the information
But
on it.
why wouldn't you release it? If it's what would be the reason not to do it?
There's no reason. I have all the information on my ethics statement, and you can get that from Cook County any day of the week.
Look, is there a diversity in your inner circle? Because we asked Todd Stroger about that. We want to be fair, and he said he was, but people question that. And by diversity, they mean not just black, white. They mean geographic diversity. You know, people have said, does he have people? And you know about the inner circle. I'm sure 24,000 employees. There's diversity, but you know what I mean by the inner circle. The 5 or 10 people who are your close advisors, his close advisors. Kitchen cabinet, that type of thing. You know, do any of those folks come from the northwest suburbs, from Skokie and so forth? They're all from the south side because he talks about the bias in the media on that, north side, south side. You know about that, right? So do you have a diverse inner circle?
I have a diverse inner circle.
Give me their names. Who are they?
I have a diverse inner circle.
Tell me.
I'll tell you last names because,
Okay.
Zakinya is from Schaumburg.
And what does she do?
She is public relations. Patel is from up north as well.
North
I
where?
have, he's in the kind of northwest suburbs area.
Okay.
I have Moody, that's over on the southwest side. So I have people. I was out in the south
Moody?
suburbs. Yes.
What does Moody do?
Moody is in. He does a kind of my field area.
Fields. So these are your inner circle. At
These
the
are inner
moment.
circle people.
And you think they're diverse, racially, geographically, gender, the whole thing?
Yes. I have.
You believe in diversity?
Johnson Dunlap, who is from way out in the western suburb area.
You believe in diversity?
I believe in diversity. I have diversified my office.
Are you out there looking for suburban votes?
I'm out there. I was out there yesterday. I was going door to door knocking. I'm going to go all over Cook County, all 30 suburban townships, all 50 wards. You're going to see Dorothy Brown knocking on doors. And Jeff, you know that I've been all over Cook County each time.
Do you identify with
every
any of those
office.
gang of four? Some would call them the reformers. You identify with Forrest Claypool? Is he a reformer? Is he somebody you supported?
I identify with them from the standpoint of their
But take them
ideas
one by one.
of
Do you identify with
reforming.
Claypool and his ideas as a reformer?
Well, I identify with all of them to some extent.
You're
You know, I
hedging.
have
Why
to-
are you hedging? Is there something about you want to say you not want to say whether you identify with Claypool or
I
not?
identify with all of them. And so,
You identify with Quigley?
I don't identify with anyone 100% because I don't think
But more than
anyone
others. Look,
does.
if you had
but
to
I do
choose between,
identify.
on the one hand, Quigley and Claypool and Suffredin and Parika, he's a Republican. They were known as reformers. And then you had the folks who, and you still have, who are, Jerry Butler, Sims, John Daly. They've been sort of the core support for Todd Stroger until John Daly sort of left that. Robert Steele, right? You know what I mean? Those folks on one side and the reformers on the other. Erling Collins was sort of a swing vote. She was always swinging toward the reformer and blocking those tax increases. I'm trying to get at the gist of where you stand on that board. But so you could say you bring them together, but are you closer to one side or the other?
I'm going to work with all of them. I think that they all, at some point, have good ideas, and I think it's important for me, the new county board president, to keep an open mind and to work with all of them for the people.
But so Steele and Sims and Beavers and Butler on one side, kind of the core support for Todd Stroger, Parika, Claypool, now Gaertner, it was Quigley, suffered on the other side. You're not picking and choosing, you're just saying you work with all.
Right, exactly. I'm going to work with all of them as we do the right thing for the citizens of Cook County.
Joe Murphy, Mario Moreno, Roberto Maldonado, you don't see more or less with them. You just work with all of them. You're not
I think it's time for reform. I think it's time for new ideas. I think it's time for us to all roll up our sleeves, take a look at what's going on in Cook County government, and do it differently. People are suffering. We're talking about mortgage foreclosures. I talked about the mortgage foreclosure surplus, the new case management call that's going on in our office as well. And so people are losing jobs.
Temporary, you go to Cook County Board President, you're dealing with the temporary juvenile detention center.
Yes.
Has that been a mess over the years?
It has been horrendous.
And Todd Stroger says now it's out of his hands. It's in the hands of Judge Timothy Evans.
Well, that doesn't
Is that
matter.
right? Is it out of his? If
It
you were there,
is
would you
out
say?
of
Would
his
you agree with
hands.
him? Would you say it's out of your hands?
Well, let me just say this. I think that because we have still have fiscal oversight of that, we have to approve their budgets, then we need to know what's happening with the money and why. So I would not say that it's out of my hands. I would not say that the sheriff's office is out of my hand. The clerk of the court, the assessor,
so you think
the
you could have some
treasurer.
impact on those offices for the better as president of the Cook County Board?
Absolutely.
What about the loan that was given to Charles Flowers, the regional superintendent? I guess, of the Board of Education. I don't want to call him regional superintendent for education. You know Charles Flowers, right?
I do know.
He got
Yes.
a loan. It went from the Cook County government to his office. Allegedly, he used that money personally. It was recommended for the loan. Was that a mistake? if you had been president, do you think you might have looked at that differently and not made the recommendation for that loan?
You know, hindsight is 20/20, of course, but I think that they did not do their due diligence in analyzing. Anytime you give a loan, I think that you need to do the same thing that the bank would do. Look at the financial infrastructure of that organization, and obviously that was not done. And so hindsight is 20/20, but obviously it's turned out that was a mistake.
There are people who say there are too many friends and family working in Cook County government, friends and family of Todd Stroger. Are you one of those people? Do you say that?
I do say that.
And who would you give as examples? How would you make that case? How would you prove that there's too much friends and family? Can you identify and name names?
Well, this is, of course, is just anecdotal. The things have been said, but all I will say is that will not happen on my administration. Of course, I don't have a lot of friends and family in Chicago, so that does not. But even in the clerk's office, we have made sure that people are in positions that are qualified to do the job. I have people in high positions that never worked for me on any campaign. So I ensure that people are qualified to get the job done. It's time for us to stop patronage hiring in county government and start to ensure
What should
that we
be
have
what should be the
people
employment level?
in
Some people
position.
said it should have gone from 26,000 to 22,000 under Todd Stroger. It went from 26,000 to 24,500. Would you take a pledge to knock it down from 24,500 employees to 22,000?
Jeff, it would be inappropriate for me as a CPA to take a pledge like that blindly. The important thing for me is to do what's right for the citizens of Cook County, and so to analyze the budget and determine exactly what's necessary.
So you won't say now, and you don't think as you get closer to February of 2010 in the primary, you won't know enough to know what the proper level should be in terms of the number of employees that work for Cook County?
Well, as we get an opportunity, if we get an opportunity to get even deeper into the budget,
Have you
as
looked
my
at the budget?
research team-
Have you looked at the budget?
Yes, absolutely.
How many pages
So
is it? How many pages does that run?
team. Oh,
Roughly.
how many pages does it
Yeah.
run? Oh,
Ballpark.
It's very thick. I didn't count the pages. I didn't
800,
look at the-
200, do you have any idea?
No, I did not count the pages.
Okay, but you're looking at
Absolutely.
it.
But I have a team that's researching that budget thoroughly to determine the kind of revenue that's necessary, as well as the expenses that we can reduce.
We're going to continue to speak as the credits roll, but I very much want to thank our guest, Clerk of the Circuit Court, Dorothy Brown. She is running for President of the Cook County Board. She is running in a Democratic primary that will be on February 2nd, 2010. And let's sort of go back to the end of the show as we did at the beginning. Talked a little bit about race. Is race an issue in the media? Because, you know, Todd Stroger says that. He thinks he's being picked on by the media. He says no politicians on the South Side are really treated reasonably. He seems to suggest that's a lot of race, black, white, but not completely. What do you say to Todd Stroger on that? Are you getting a fair shake by the media?
You see, I was judged by the content of my character, not by the color of my skin when I was voted into this office.
Well, what about the
And
media?
I've
But
worked
just go to the
hard
media. Do you
over
think,
the years.
does Mike Flannery give you a fair shake at
Mike Flannery
CBS too?
is fine with me. Yes.
Carol Marine?
Carol Marine
At
is
5
fine.
and 11, she's fine.
Yes, I've been
Mary Ann
working-
Ahern?
I've been
You don't
working-
see any racial biases coming out of
Mary
it?
Ann has been very, very, very. Has
Charles
done me very
Thomas?
well in
Charles Thomas?
interviews. Charles Thomas has well.
Jack
as well.
Kennedy?
Jack Kennedy, yes.
So as far as you see
I mean,
it,
people are about the business
political
of-
editors on TV, they're fair. You see that?
People are about the business.
Are you saying that? Are they fair?
They appear to be fair to me.
You differ with Todd Stroger on that.
Yes, they appear to be fair to me.
You
I
live on
mean,
the South Side? Do you come out of the South
I
Side?
do live on the South Side.
You don't see this North Side, South Side bias in the media?
South Side, North Side
Okay.
bias? No.
Abortion, could that be an issue? You know, there are people who said that John Stroger kind of loosened up. That is, he didn't allow many abortions to occur when he was there. Was that true? And would you